Hi guys, and welcome back to a new episode of In the Know. Today I'm so excited to be joined by Maggie Hewitt. So Maggie is the owner, founder, the designer, the amazing lady behind Maggie Marilyn, which I've just found out is your middle name, Marilyn, which is so beautiful.
Thank you.
So Maggie Marilyn, for any of you guys that aren't aware, is an incredible sustainable brand. So I want to talk so much more about this. So the brand is sold on Netaporter, hence why we're in the incredible Netaporter offices. And I thought it would be the perfect way to talk about your new collection with Netaporter and everything around that. But let's kind of start right at the very beginning.
Sure.
Where did you, because I mean, you are so young with such an amazing brand already, which will be so inspiring. I mean, it's so inspiring to me, but for so many others. Kind of where did your inspirations come from? Like, did you always want to be a designer?
I think I always knew I wanted to do something creative. I grew up in a very small, coastal town at the top of the North Island in New Zealand. I think, the current population is, 5,000 people, so we're talking, tiny.
Really?
I mean, New Zealand itself only has 4 million people, so it's pretty small.
Wow.
So very removed from the fashion industry, I guess. But, yeah, I think I knew I wanted to be in the fashion industry in some capacity, but... fashion was very far away, growing up in a small town.
Right.
So moved to Auckland, which is kind of the biggest city in New Zealand.
Right.
At 17, and went to university to study a fine arts degree, majoring in fashion.
Right.
And that is, I guess, where it all started in terms of maybe wanting to become a fashion designer.
Right. So you studied a design course then?
Yeah.
I see. So did you kind of have these dreams straight away of what if I could set up my own company, or did you ever want to work for another brand?
I come from an entrepreneurial family, so I think I always wanted to have my own business in some capacity. But it was quite an interesting process really going to university, and sustainability was really embedded in my degree, which I feel really lucky that I got to go to a university like that.
Yeah.
And so it was quite conflicting because got there and I was so excited to do this fashion degree, and it seemed so glamorous, and then this kind of glamorous curtain sort of got pulled back, and it was showing, our lecturers really showed us the dark side of the fashion industry and the truths behind, supply chain and the effect that the fashion industry has on the on the environment and climate change, and it was very conflicting, to be honest.
That's great,
I graduated university after a 4-year degree, not knowing if I wanted to be in the fashion industry, kind of freaking out, having to go home and think, I'm gonna have to tell my parents that I don't want to be in this industry that I spent all this money doing a degree in, because I don't know, it seemed so insurmountable to try and make change in an industry that was just fraught with so many problems. But I'm pretty ambitious, and I think for me the idea of going to work for someone else, I couldn't make the change that I really wanted to. I couldn't just be part of the system that was so broken to me. Started my brand at 21, finishing straight out of university, so naive to but I think that's, there's something beautiful about that, being naive and not really knowing the challenges that were ahead.
Absolutely. Because I mean the main thing that a lot of people talk about when they talk about sustainability is, how do you actually create a sustainable brand? How do you make it somewhat affordable for people?
Absolutely.
What are the kind of stepping stones to becoming more sustainable in some ways? And I feel like it's so in the news at the moment, and so many people are trying to do it and failing. What have been the hurdles you've had to cross over to create this sustainable brand?
I mean, the challenges are huge.
Really?
Every day. But I think really as cliche as it sounds, wanted to start a brand that I felt like me and my friends could buy into, something that we really knew where the product came from, and that I could feel proud to wear. Clothing is such a spiritual thing. It sits on your skin, so it kind of sickens me if someone was negatively affected by the making of this garment that you're wearing for your own benefit. So to me, there really at the time seemed like there was a gap in the market and the sort of contemporary price point for sustainably made beautiful clothing, that it could still be aspirational and designer-esque, but that it didn't have to cost the earth. But yeah, the challenges are vast. I was lucky enough, obviously, to do a degree understanding sustainability and supply chain. So when I started my brand, I had that sort of like ground understanding of transparency within the supply chain, but it's holistically my understanding of sustainability in the wider sense has grown so much since then.
Really?
In terms of, yes, we look at how our garments are manufactured, you know, where does our cotton come from, where does our silk come from, where are the garments manufactured, and how can we do that and empower everyone in the supply chain and not have a negative effect on the environment in the process. But then looking at the whole business, like how can we be carbon neutral?
Yeah.
How can we eventually be a closed loop where we look at the full life cycle assessment of a garment and ensure that when one of our garments is maybe no longer needed, that it comes back to us and is repurposed into new fabric or a new garment. So that,
wow.
I think really to me that seems like the future, like this beautiful sort of circular economy as opposed to this linear one of like take, make, dispose, do it all again. That's just not sustainable.
No, absolutely. In fact, I remember recently at Fashion Week, London Fashion Week, they were talking about this loop and being able to kind of bring something back and reuse it again. And I think it's just incredible if we could get to that stage.
Yeah, totally. And it's so doable. I mean, you know, there's challenges to that, but I think it's not impossible.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
So you manufacture everything in New Zealand then? So it's all locally produced?
Yeah.
So tell me about that. I mean, how did you even find these places that would manufacture for you?
I know, it's pretty crazy. I mean, it was such an organic process of finding like one factory after another, but really I knew from the very beginning that if we were going to be a brand that was based in New Zealand and sell globally, I wanted to contribute and give back to the community that we live in. It didn't really seem right to me to be based in New Zealand, have our head office there, and then manufacture overseas and then sell overseas. Like I'm such a proud like Kiwi girl, so I had to give back to the town that I live in. And in the late 80s, like we were a huge manufacturing nation. We used to be like the second biggest manufacturer of like Levi's denim.
Really?
Which like no one knows that. So it was really like 4% of New Zealanders were employed by like the textile manufacturing industry.
Gosh.
Yeah, so it was pretty big. And then in the late 80s when you know, tariffs and trade with China kind of got lifted, and you know, it was cheaper to manufacture offshore. Like the industry just like completely crashed, which was so sad. So to me, I feel like such a passion to bring it back, and it's been so exciting to see like bit by bit the effect that our business has had. You know, I can remember going to a factory where there would be like 50 empty machines because of what it once was, and then going back there now like 3 years after launch, and like more and more of those machines are getting filled by more women like every few months, and that to me is like what it's all about.
Yeah, it's amazing as well to bring those skills back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because sometimes I do worry that not as many people go into the actual making of garments.
Totally.
And then we're losing these such skilled professionals.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that we forget, that so many hands have like touched the clothing that we wear. It's like not automated, not yet. Robots don't make clothes yet. And you know, human hands do. So
so it's better to look after them, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many retailers out there that don't have ethical processes, so it's incredible to kind of see that you're doing that, and every garment, you know, where it's come from, where the cotton's come from, you know, all of that. I mean, I think that the audience really want to see that now going forward.
Totally, I think so. I mean, even in the 3 years since we've launched, we've really noticed like our customer is so engaged with our values as a business, and they want to buy into their values. They want to shop by their values, and I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Which is why, so Netaporter have just launched their Net Sustain area on the website. I personally am so happy about this. I mean, if you guys have seen my haul, my sustainable haul I did a couple of months back, so I went to Netaporter and I was looking for loads of sustainable brands.
Awesome.
I was just trying to find some really beautiful pieces to add to my wardrobe that were all sustainable, beautiful materials. and I was looking through the site and kind of had to pick and find, and it took me a few hours of researching to find these beautiful pieces. So for me, I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if there was just like an area on the site where I could just go straight to it and I could find these amazing items. And I knew so many people out there would be the same. So Net Sustain is now launched on the Netaporter site, and you are one of the brands, of the 26 brands that are within that, which is so exciting.
So exciting.
And I wanted to ask you, I mean, how did you feel? So it was a few years ago that Netaporter got in touch and they wanted to stock you exclusively on the site.
It feels like a really like beautiful sort of story, I guess, that Netaporter was our first stockist.
I mean, how exciting
they
is
picked
that?
us up in Sydney. My first collection, Lisa Aitken, who was the fashion director at the time, was so supportive, and I think we were like the first season designer to ever be picked up by Netaporter, which was pretty crazy. And it feels like a really beautiful moment to be a part of Net Sustain, and it's really exciting.
What a dream.
And, you know, there's not many retailers out there really getting behind sustainability in the conversation in a large way, and I think to me that kind of seemed like the missing link. There was designers out there you know, trying to be a voice for positive change, but if the retailers who, you know, are that in between to the customer won't educate the customer as well, then how can we expect customers to make more informed decisions? It's really exciting.
It is. And you have designed a 5-piece collection exclusively for Netaporter. So tell me about those, like what were your inspirations for those pieces?
Well, they're summery, which is exciting.
If we get some sunshine, please.
I know, really, like a really beautiful like fluorescent blue and a green, and this like piece organza with these. We developed with one of our suppliers last season a rose petal fabric that's like an alternative to silk. So it's literally made out of rose petal bushes, and it feels softer than silk. People always like try to bring it up to them to smell it. It doesn't smell like roses, unfortunately. But it's amazing, and I think that's the exciting thing with sustainability, is being able to amplify the conversation whilst giving the customer something that's so luxurious. And like, who doesn't want to wear something that's made from roses?
Can we just talk about this a second?
So
how do you make this?
I know, so it's like it's a cellulose process similar to how viscose is made, and it is a much stronger fabric than silk. Like silk can pill and pull, and isn't always like a very durable option long term. So we've been trying to find an alternative, because we use silk a lot in our collections, because I love the way that it feels and I love the way that it looks, but you notice over time, after you've dry cleaned it a few times, like it doesn't look so great. So we've been working on this for a couple of years, and working on this with one of our suppliers, which is really exciting. So it's so strong, it feels softer than silk, has like a heavier weight.
Is it kind of shiny the way that silk is?
It is. It has like a beautiful like luster, as you would think a rose petal would.
This has really blown my mind. I had no idea that this was even a thing. Like this was invented.
I know. I mean, it's amazing what's coming out. I mean, there's fabric made out of banana skins, like orange peel. It's really exciting.
Wow. God, it really is. I mean, how innovative though, and it's just incredible to see things move in that way. And you know, like we no longer need to use these. I mean, who knows, one day maybe we don't even use cotton anymore, because we've got so many incredible new materials. It's so nice to see that, you know, innovation within the industry, even at this point when you feel like you've seen it all.
I think that's the thing, like I'm such an optimist, and I really feel like we can rebuild this industry into one that like we're all so proud to be a part of. Like I really believe in that. The problems that we need to fix are just not impossible, you know. It just needs I think it starts with education. You know, that's why I love like sitting down with you and having these types of discussions, because that's where it all starts. Like, you don't know what you don't know, and there's just so many people out there that just don't know the effects that the clothing that they're buying has on you know, the wider planet. So
I kind of want to talk even more about that, because I feel like it would be just great to talk more on the effects of the fashion industry. I mean, I feel I mean, it's such a huge talking point, but
Yeah.
there's still so many people that don't really know what goes on behind the scenes, and, you know, the effects of all the things that they're buying, say from kind of lower price retailers and the kind of throwaway fashion. I mean, kind of give us a bit of your kind of feelings on it and your knowledge on it.
Yeah,
I'd love to just hear a
sure.
bit more how you feel about that whole side of
I
it.
mean, I think for me, I always do try to come at it from a sort of optimistic place, because sometimes I feel like if you come from like a doom and gloom, high and mighty approach, people can turn off to that. But we are in like a climate crisis, so I'll go into that like briefly. You know, I think like climate change is the biggest fight that we have of our time, and I think it's something that like we all don't talk about enough.
Yeah.
And I think there was, you know, a rumor for a while that the fashion industry was the second most polluting, which is not true, but it's definitely one of the top 10, you know, most polluting industries in the world, which is pretty horrific. And yeah, from, you know, I think it all just starts with like so much excess, you know, like just thinking that clothing is as disposable as like food, and you know, it takes 8 months to cultivate like a cotton crop, but will the average wear that consumers when they buy a garment is like 5 times, which is crazy. But cotton still takes 8 months to grow, but we're still consuming it at this like very unsustainable rate. So I think for me, consumption is like where it all starts. Like we need to consume less, but be aware of how everything is manufactured, and transparency. Even though transparency is not sustainability, that's like transparency is where it starts, you know, understanding exactly how the garment is made. You know, we look at where our zips are from, where our buttons are from, where our thread's from, like are we using recycled metal zippers, are we using organic cotton thread? You know, we look at like the whole process. Because for me, like, you know, to want any part of this industry or to be a designer, I have to understand where everything comes from. I have such a hunger for that knowledge. But yeah, I think for me it was always exciting to be able to show our customers and the industry that like, hey, you can still have this really beautiful product, and this is how it's made, and we can tell you the story, and you can feel good about buying it. And it wasn't into like shaming our customers into buying more clothing. Like, we still want you to buy clothes, we just want you to be more conscious of how you're buying clothes.
Absolutely. And just wear them more. I mean, as me as a blogger, I mean, I'm almost in this predicament as it is, that my career almost is around showing people what they can buy, maybe inspiring a purchase. And I mean, I must admit, back in a few years ago, or even a year ago, I must admit, I did do a lot of hauls, buying a lot of things, because I felt I had to, for my career, for showing people what they could wear, you know, styling things up. And it sort of hit me, and I was like, I can't be seen to be doing this. I don't want to give this impression that it's okay just to buy new things constantly and, you know, never wear things again. Because again, with Instagram, bloggers often, or Instagrammers, wear things once and then don't wear them again. And it was really kind of, it was weighing on me, and I just felt this weight, and I just didn't want to be the person that would encourage people to live that kind of lifestyle. So I've been making so many changes myself. I mean the whole idea of doing hauls now, it's not something where you just haul everything, and I'm inspiring people to do that. It's more, I like to buy a few things and then show my audience and show them 1 or 2 things that maybe they could pick up if they've not got them in their wardrobe, or maybe they want to, you know, add them in there.
How many different ways you could wear it.
Exactly. And I'm really trying to educate myself on it a lot more as well. It really does. It is really, really affecting me, the whole thing. So sustainability for me is just something I'm so interested by, and I want to know more, and I feel like so many other people will want to know more, so it's so great just to hear your opinions on it, because obviously you're so much more of an expert on this.
But I think it is so conflicting, like, especially in the social media Instagram era, you know, we're told that like we can't wear the same outfit to the same wedding or the same event, which is so crazy. Like, I don't know where that came from, but I think it's small steps. Like, even for me on our own Instagram, I make a habit of wearing the same dress to a few different events to actually show our customers and our audience, like, look, here's Maggie wearing the same dress, like, it's okay, you can wear your Maggie Marilyn dress to the same, like, to a few events. And it's just small, like, educational tools like that that actually, like, plant the seed of substantial change that our industry needs. But yeah, I'm a woman, like I love new things. I mean, I think the feeling that like I always go back to like a blazer, that the way like a new blazer can make you feel, and we naming the pieces in the collections is a really fun process for us, and they always have really strong names like You Can Change the World or You Give Me Strength. And I think clothing does have the power to really do that. Like it does empower us throughout every day, so we don't need to feel bad about it. It's just we need to educate ourselves more on how we're consuming it.
Yeah, and I feel that education really is kind of making the rounds, more people learning about it. So it is really incredible, and especially with things like Net Sustain. Now people, when they're looking through the website, they'll see a little badge that says like Net Sustain, and they'll be able to, you know, make that more informed choice if they want to, you know, and it's not about preaching or pushing people to do so, but at least it's, you know, being like, you can if you want to, it's right here, you know, it's that information.
And it's a start, I think, which is so exciting, because I think as humans, like, we want to do better, we just don't always know how, and we don't know where to start. So I think, this new Net Sustain is really exciting.
Yeah,
it's a big moment for our industry, I think, for Netaporter to really get behind sustainability and help amplify the conversation.
And I think other retailers as well will see that, you know, and more and more retailers will become more sustainable or try and move their processes more that way, or maybe more brands will pop up in that category. So I think that is really exciting to kind of see that. But it's so nice that you were kind of ahead of the game, so forward thinking, like years ago, starting your own brand, fully sustainable. Like so many brands haven't done that. So I think that's really incredible that you started so early with this passion.
I think for us, maybe it was a little easier starting with this ethos than having a brand for 10 years and then having to somehow implement these values into your business. I do think there's challenges to that, but honestly, like starting small, like for us, we changed over all of our dispatch packaging about a year ago from plastic bags to fully biodegradable bags, and that was like a huge milestone for us. So we were making these beautiful garments, and then we were like shipping them in plastic. Like every garment that we sent to our retailers had to be individually packaged in plastic, which to me this like totally was a contradiction to absolutely all the good work we were trying to do. So I think going back to that point for other brands, like there's a great place to start. Like look at your packaging, like how can you reduce plastic in your business,
and labels,
and like honestly the price difference of using the biodegradable as opposed to the plastic is like so insignificant. And I think that's the thing, it's not always the most expensive option, especially in a packaging sense. So for me, I'm like, just start somewhere. Like if it's looking at, you know, at least understanding your first tier, you know, factories, like knowing the people that manufacture and sew and cut your garments, like any place is a good place to start. And I think we've got to, as you know, as a brand that values sustainability, I feel like I want to put my hand out there and be supportive to other brands. Like it's not about shaming brands that like you're not doing this right, you're not doing this, because like the perfect sustainable brand like does not exist. We all know that the best option would be to not make clothes, but that's not going to happen, and that's not realistic. So I think for me as a brand, like we just relaunched our a micro sustainability site on our e-commerce, and we talk all about, you know, the challenges of being a sustainable brand and being an emerging brand as well, like the minimums required for some of these sustainable fabrications, because they're not yet, you know, used by lots of brands. So in terms of like minimums, they can be really high. We talk all about that, because I think that's something that people don't know. Like for organic cotton denim, the minimums might start at like 10,000 meters, which makes like 7,000 pairs of jeans. Like not many young brands are doing those volumes, so there's huge like barriers to entry in terms of this. So the more that we can all work together to help amplify the message, I think that's really important.
It is. But I guess the last thing I kind of want to know is, which is your favourite piece from your new line?
I think this, like, I'm really bad with names. It's like this little blue organza mini dress with like a knotted puff sleeve. I'm really into like a cute little mini dress for summer. Like, and it's in this like iridescent fluoro blue, like so great on all skin tones. And yeah, it has like organic piece silk organza on the top, and then the rose petal like little slip underneath, so you can wear the slip on its own, or you can wear the sheer dress like over jeans with a t-shirt.
Oh, gorgeous.
I'm all about, you know, having those pieces in your wardrobe like we were talking about before, that you can swap and change out and wear so many different ways. I think that's really important to longevity and wear within wanting to keep it in your own wardrobe. If you feel like you could wear the same dress 3 or 4 times in 1 week but style it so differently, so I really think about that when I'm designing.
Yeah, I was I was going to say that earlier actually, about with the whole Instagram culture and when you're wearing the same dress. I mean, change up the hairstyle, change up your shoes, change up your bag, and you've got a completely new outfit.
Yeah.
I'm really want to try and push myself to do that more.
Yeah.
Show the same things again and again on my channels, because I feel like I want to kind of champion that.
Yeah.
And I want to show people you don't always have to change your outfit every time you post on Instagram.
But it's also such a good test when you're going to buy something. Like, could I imagine wearing this 50 times, 100 times?
Yeah.
Like, you know, how many different ways can I style it? And if, you know, once you try it on, you're like, I don't actually know if I'm going to get that many wears, then maybe you don't purchase it. You know, I think that's like this whole, you know, mindset of how we have to change our thinking is, you know, you could wear this dress like a million ways. You could wear it with like a black turtleneck and boots in the winter, or you could wear it with sandals in the summer. Like, and I think,
do you know, I would totally wear it like that as well.
Yeah.
That is literally my kind of style. Black turtleneck with anything is very me.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, okay. Well, honestly, thank you so much for this chat.
Thank you.
I just feel like I've learned so much as well, and I think that everyone watching will really just feel a lot more informed about everything. I will also leave the blue dress you spoke of linked down below. In fact, the whole collection will be linked down below from Netaporter. A huge thank you as well to Netaporter for letting us film in here. And congrats to them on the Net Sustain, and congrats to you as well for being part of that. I mean, it's just an incredible achievement to start such a young brand and to be found and now be so global. So congrats on that.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for amplifying the conversation of sustainability.
Oh,
you know,
honestly,
like
I'm honored to.
there's not many people out there in your position who are really like heroing the story, so it's so nice to sit down with you. And
oh, well, thank you. Well, honestly, I'm so glad to be more informed on it. So honestly, thank you for taking the time to do this, and thank you to everyone for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will obviously leave all the information down below for Maggie and for the whole collection for Netaporter, and I guess I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.